Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Cesar. So today's video, we're going to talk about credit. So a lot of you guys are having issues with getting a mortgage loan, getting a car loan, getting into an apartment, whatever it is. And I've had a lot of people ask me that they want a little bit of help on how to raise their credit score. So that's going to be for videos down the line. Today we're going to start off with the basics and understand what credit is and what the understanding about it is and what we need to do. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just the simple word credit. So a lot of people, when they hear the word credit, they go ahead and think about the credit score, or they think about Credit Karma, and they're like, oh, my credit score is this. But you have to understand the whole purpose of it. Credit stands for being able to make scheduled payments on borrowed money over time, okay? If you can, write this stuff down so you can have a clear understanding. Being able to make scheduled payments on borrowed money over time. Now, I always flunked writing class in school, so I apologize if my handwriting is not too well, and I think I spelled that borrowed wrong. But anyways, credit stands for being able to make scheduled payments on borrowed money over time. So in order to build credit, in order to have credit, you have to be able to make payments on borrowed money over time. You can have $1 million in your account. If you've never actually applied for a credit card, got a loan, established any kind of payments, you're not going to have credit or have good credit at all. So a lot of people think you got to have a lot of money in your account or you have to have a high-paying job to have credit. No, that's totally wrong. You can have a minimum wage job and still hit about 750 credit score as long as you make your payments on time. Now, the whole purpose of credit is to build trust, okay? So I like to compare a lot of things to where people have a good understanding. I like to compare this to like school. So when you think about your GPA, whenever you go to apply for college, what's the first thing they look at is your GPA. Basically, that GPA right there gives the professors or whoever it is an understanding of the kind of student you are. You know, if you have a 4.0 GPA, odds are you did all your work, you're smart, you paid attention, you didn't goof around, you did everything how you're supposed to do, and you paid attention to school and you did good grades. In credit, having a high credit score, it allows the collector, the lender, to understand that you are a trustworthy person. So, for example, if you go to get an auto loan for your vehicle, and you tell the lender, you know, hey, I want to borrow $25,000 for this car that I'm trying to buy, and the lender, the first thing they're going to say, what's your credit score, you know, or they're going to pull your credit because they want to understand. So the whole purpose of that is because before they go to lend you money, they want to know that you are trustworthy, that you're going to pay them back. And that credit score is basically able to allow them to understand that, hey, okay, this guy has a 500 credit score. Odds are he's probably, if we lend him 25,000, he's probably not going to pay us back. We're going to have to repo the car, etc. So the whole purpose of credit is to be able to make scheduled payments on borrowed money over time to build trust. So now a lot of you people that I've talked to, you know, they tell me, well, I want to raise my credit score. Like I said, we're going to start with the basics and we're going to get a good understanding, but you have to understand this is the basic principle about it is you got to understand that the whole point of credit is to build trust. You have to borrow money, you have to make payments, you have to be smart about it in order to have a high credit score. Now, understanding that at this age, you know, at this day and time, 2018, having a high credit score helps you out in a lot of things. You wouldn't surprise that you need to have a high credit score nowadays, you know. You want to go buy a mortgage or get a mortgage for your house, you got to have a good credit score. A car, you have to get a good credit score. A lot of people say, well, I'm not ready to buy it. Okay, you want to go lease an apartment, they're going to pull your credit score. You want to go get furniture, they're going to pull your credit score. So basically, what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is you have to have a good credit score. You have to be smart about your financial usage, and you have to know what you're doing, because if not, if you jack up your credit, it's going to make life very hard for you. So now this is the what makes up your credit. It's going to be 5 of them. Your payment history. Your payment history makes 35% of your credit score. So basically, whenever you get your credit report and you go back of years and it shows that, oh, you've been late here, you've been late there, you didn't make your payment here, your payment history is going to have a huge chunk of your FICO credit score. So the first thing that I like to talk about with people is you have to be on time on your payments. And I'm going to share something with you guys that I had a football coach a long time ago, and this is his rule of thumb that he taught us whenever we were his players, and it stuck with me the rest of my life. He told me, he goes, guys, practice at 5 o'clock. If you show up on time, you're late. So in other words, if we showed up at 5 o'clock, we're late. If you showed up early, you're on time. So this is the same principle that you should adapt to your life on your financial education. You have to understand that, if you have a bill that's due on the 15th, don't wait till the 15th to pay it. A lot of people are like, oh, it's the 13th. We still got 2 more days to pay it. Life comes into place, People have wrecks, people get sick, we forget, we stay late on our job. Next thing you know, it's the 15th, banks closed, or whatever happened. Now you're going to be late because you're going to pay it on the 16th. So I always tell people 5 to 7 days, that should be in your thought, in your mind, that's when my payment is due, because if something does happen, you get a wreck, hopefully nobody ever has to go through that, but you go through an encounter through life and it has to slow you down, at least you're like, okay, I'm still 6 days early. So you always try to adapt that into your financial payments, because otherwise, if you live at the point where, okay, my payment's on this day, and you wait to that day, man, it makes life really hard for you, really stressful. So your payment history is going to be 35%. Here's another important one, okay? Your credit utilization. So your credit utilization is going to be 30% of your credit score. So your credit utilization, basically what it means. So I hear a lot of people say, oh man, my credit card is topped off. That is so bad. It's going to be 30% of your credit utilization. Basically what the credit utilization is like, let's say you have a credit card. I'm just going to throw a number out. Let's say you have a credit card and it's a $10,000 limit, okay? And you have a balance, you go to you call your credit card company and you ask what your balance is, and they say 440. That's your balance. So basically, all you gotta do is divide that up. Your credit utilization is 4.4%, okay? Let me fix this real quick before this falls off, you guys. So your credit utilization is going to be 4.4%. That's good. You don't ever want to go 30%. 30% should be the max you should ever go on your credit utilization. So you have a $1,000 limit. Let me erase this. Let's make it really simple. Let's say you have a credit card for $100. That's your limit. And you go and buy groceries and you get gas. Okay? And you have a balance of $50. So you divide that up. So a lot of people are like, oh man, I'll just use $50. I still got $50 more. I'm good. I'm not topped off. Your credit utilization is 50%. You went over. 30% should be the max you should go on your credit card, on your utilization, or on your credit cards or whatever it is. You don't ever want to go over that. So in other words, if your limit is $100, $30 should be the most you ever want to spend on that. Okay? $1,000, $300. And that makes it really hard for, a lot of people have $1,000 limit and you're like, oh man, I want to go buy some rims or whatever it is, and you spend $600-$700. You're like, okay, I still have a couple hundred left. I'm not over. I'm not capped out. But 30% should be the most you want to go, because like I said, going over your credit utilization on this takes 30% of your FICO credit score. So it's very, very important that you do not go over 30%. And the really wealthy people will tell you 10%. But those are the people that have, 6, 7 credit cards at $50,000 limit. So that's really what they go by. But for us normal people, 30% should be the most you ever want to go to. Okay, so that's a rule of thumb that you want to do. What I recommend, we'll talk about that here in a little bit, is downloading Credit Karma or trying to get your credit report and see what your balances are on all your cards, and it'll tell you your credit utilization overall. So you'd be surprised how dropping your credit utilization, just paying off on those cards, will jack up your credit score, 50 to 100 points in as fast as 30 to 60 days. So it could be a deciding factor whether you get a loan or not. Very important, guys. So recent inquiries are actually the length of your credit. Length of credit, that's going to be 15%, okay? Not very big. So basically, if you open up a credit card, don't ever close it out, because you'll have a history of how many years you have of credit. So if you have a credit card from like 2001 and it's 2018 and you just close it out, that's going to take a huge ding on you. Like I said, 15% is not too much compared to the other two, but it still has a big factor in your FICO credit score. So once you open up a credit card and you don't want to use it, don't use it no more. Just leave it at a zero balance, but don't ever close it out, because that's going to affect you, okay? Well, I mean, that doesn't mean go apply for 10 credit cards, because that's also going to affect you, okay? So that's going to be the third one. The fourth one's going to be your recent inquiries. So your recent inquiries is going to be 10%. These two are not going to be very big, and the type of credit. So the type of credit, you always want to get, I'm still trying to study this because I don't understand which kind of credit card you would get or what kind of loan you would get that doesn't report to the credit bureau. But anytime that you go get a loan or any form of credit, like a secure credit card or anything like that, always make sure that it's going to report to the credit bureaus, because if it doesn't report, it does absolutely no good. And usually on your cards, or your credit cards, they'll tell you what day of the month it reports to credit bureaus. So make sure that you don't apply for a lot of credit. First of all, you want to maybe one credit card a year or so. If you go get a loan on January, don't go get a credit card on March, and don't go get an auto loan unless you absolutely have to. But don't go off trying to apply for credit, because every time they pull your credit, it's going to take, it's going to be 10%. It's going to take a ding on your credit score. So that's another rule, is don't go applying for anything. You go to, a lot of people go to JCPenney to apply for a credit card there. Next thing you know, you go to DirecTV, DirecTV or AT&T or whatever, all those, they pull your credit score. So don't get your credit score pulled a lot, okay? So right now, we're going to talk about the 4 steps on building credit and understanding it. So step number 1. Step number 1 is understand your credit. So you can't build your credit, and you can't know, you won't know what you need to do if you're not paying attention to what's going on in your credit. Like I said, download. I like to use Credit Karma because it's free. Use it all the time. It's not as accurate as actually getting your credit report online, but Credit Karma is going to be one website. So I do apologize for my handwriting. CreditKarma.com, and the other one will be CreditScoreCard.com. So go to these websites. I've never used an app on this one. I usually use this on my Mac or on my computer. But the Credit Karma, you can download an app, ask you a few questions, personal questions about you. Once you answer the questions and then you verify that it's you, it'll tell you your credit score. I believe it's only Equifax and TransUnion. It's only 2 that it uses. But it tells you what your credit score is, and at the same time, it tells you what credit utilization is, that tells you what you have open, what your balances are. You gotta understand your credit. You gotta know what's going on, so you have to be on top of it. Download that, see what's going on. I have about 15 clients that I'm mentoring right now, and I actually help them personally understand what we need to do to that. But that's just something that you guys need to do if you want to start building your credit. Whether you're at a 750 and you want to get up to 800, or you're at a 400 and you want to get it up to 600, whatever, is you have to understand your credit. That's going to be step number one, okay? So step number two, we got, voila, just like I said, lower your credit utilization. Like I said, when you start getting your credit utilization under the 30%, next time it reports to the credit bureau, just watch that credit card and it will just jack those points up. This is going to be probably the biggest thing, is paying off your debt. Don't go over the 30%. That's going to have a huge impact, I'm telling you. So step number two is very simple. Like I said, you got to go back to step number one, and you got to understand what's going on in your credit. Once you understand what flow you have in your credit, then you can start seeing what you need to target. And if you see something that your credit utilization is at 45, 50, 60%, don't keep using that credit card, because it's just going to keep making it worse. You want to get, that 45% credit utilization down to 40, down to 35, down to 30, and pay it off. Anything, if you can use a card and then wait for your statement to come in, pay it off before it reports, man, that's going to have a huge impact on raising your credit score really fast. Step number three, which I already talked about this one too. Pay your bills. Huge thing you have to understand is pay your bills. And basically the only thing I'm going to talk about this is, you guys know if you don't pay your bills, then it's going to affect you. But go back to what I had said earlier is, if your payment's on the 15th, tell yourself on the 10th is my mentally, that's after the 10th I'm late, because that's going to help you be overall more responsible and not go over on being late. Once you start being late, it's going to have that percent on your FICO score. Let's keep talking. Sorry about that, guys. Some technical difficulties. All right. Step 4. Build positive credit. So I'm gonna make a video about this later on down the road. Basically, to build positive credit is for like some of you guys that don't qualify for a credit card. Let's say you win and you try to get a car loan, and they say, hey, your credit score is not very good, and most times they'll tell you go get your credit card. Well, if you don't qualify for that, odds are you're not going to qualify for a credit card. So you have to kind of start off on the bottom. And there's what's called a secured credit card or a secured loan, which, like I said, I'll talk about in another video. But so you got to start building positive credit. So basically what you want to start doing is, obviously if you're watching this video, you're watching it because you need help with your credit score. So now what I want you guys to understand is, now you shouldn't view your credit cards as a form of a luxury. You shouldn't go, it's like, oh, I'm going to use it for dinner. I'm going to go use it to go buy clothes, whatever it is. Build positive credit. Use it for what you absolutely have to do so you can build your credit. For some of my people that I'm helping out and I tell them to go get a secured credit card, it's a little bit different than a non-secure, because you have to actually put some money down. But even those that qualify for a credit card, I tell them, you're going to use that credit card only for the purpose of building your credit, not because, oh, I got a $1,000 limit, I'm going to go buy stuff that I need. If you absolutely have to have it for a need, then okay, but otherwise, I tell people, we go and use it for gas, go and use it for food if you need to go buy some groceries, and that really should be about it. Every time that you're using it, you should be paying it off as soon as your statement comes in. So build positive credit. Don't go off being crazy with it and going just swiping it, and because it's going to affect you. Like I said, if you're watching this, you're probably watching this because you're trying to build your credit score, or you're trying to get credit. A lot of people don't have credit. So basically, those are going to be my 4 steps, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. This is going to be my email. It's going to be Cesar. Oops. My last name, 12 @gmail.com. So email me if you guys have any questions. I'll be more than happy to help some of you guys out. Like I said, I have about 15 clients that I'm helping right now. I'm actually going to get a little bit more in detail with them. But for the meantime, I'm going to be making more videos on how to actually start up credit, how to build the credit you already have, and later on down the road, you know, a big thing that's going to help your credit is whenever you get your credit report, it's looking out for errors. You don't understand how much errors your credit report will have. That you can actually dispute. You know, we have the right to actually send dispute letters to the credit bureaus and demand for them to look into it, investigate it, and if it's not anything that they can prove that should be on your credit report, they by law have to take it off your credit report. And every time they start cleaning up your credit report, that's going to spike up your credit score. So like I said, here's my email. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me and let me know what I can do for you guys and help you guys out. So stay tuned for the next video, and I'll be here to help you guys out. Y'all have a good rest of the day.